Welcome to this channel on magnetic energy, technology, principles, applications. This video is about magnetic energy and transfiguration. This is an etheric model of the universe. This technology is destined to be the future of humanity. And also, as we transition into a higher level of consciousness, it's a natural byproduct of that consciousness because it's renewable, it's safe, it ends scarcity. It's a sustainable model. And the etheric model is definitely going to become more prevalent as people begin to see and recognize other dimensional activity. And so partly of why I want to do this video, it's kind of more of a fun video, but it's because there's something that's happening and it's beginning and it's been going on for a while, but it's ramping up. And in the extra dimensional realm, if you will, if you want to just say it's just above our dimension, there is a tremendous amount of activity happening, and that activity is going to increase quite dramatically in this decade. And what that looks like for us in part is our energy bodies are going to become much more energized, if you will. The magnetic vibratory rate coming into this plane of existence and this area of the universe, like our solar system, where essentially where we're at, the energy is going to ramp up so significantly. Our energy bodies are going to become much more vibrant, much more intense. They are going to have a much higher level of vibratory magnetic energy flowing through them, which will ultimately lead into our physical bodies as we go through this transition. That will in turn on dormant DNA, turn off other DNA that is not serving us well. It will raise the vibratory existence in our physical existence and that extra dimensional existence. We are multi-dimensional beings. If anybody tells you otherwise, I'm sorry, but they're just not really clued into what's really happening in the universe and what's really going on. I don't know. That could be offensive to some people, but they'll get it. They'll get it, trust me, because as that awareness heightens in some of us, it will start to ripple out through all of us. And we will essentially, at the end of this process, we will have new bodies. We will have genetically modified, genetically higher dimensional, higher vibratory bodies. And not just us, it will be animals, it will be plants, it will be kind of this whole existence as we go into this high vibration cycle. Everything on our planet is going to start raising in that energy flow. So you will see, if we could measure it, and we will soon, that will become a prevalent thing, you will see an increase in magnetic energy or etheric energy flowing through all of the molecular structures or energetic structures that compose us as beings, and flowing through nature as well. And so not only will we have accelerated healing, accelerated perception, we will begin to perceive extra dimensional activity much more clearly. And as we transition away from the electromagnetic smog that is around the planet, which dampens this current electricity and this electricity model, dampen our perception of interdimensional activity, interdimensional processes, and that whole paranormal ability, the whole spectrum of paranormal abilities get dampened by electromagnetic fields and electromagnetic smog. So as society, as we begin to transition away from those things and transition back into a more natural model of technology and a sustainable model of technology, and that will include magnetic energy technology, we will all begin to experience what we consider now they're paranormal, but they're going to become normal experiences across the board. And one of the key things, there's a couple key concepts in this video, and one of them is about how our current scientific model tends to group things according to the current understanding of how things work and the level of diagnosis that scientists currently use. And that's understandable. If they don't have the equipment to go subatomic and then into the magnetic molecular signature structures that are beyond our capability, other than maybe like in super collider mode, which by the way is completely a ridiculous technology, and one magnetic unit will do 1,000 times more than CERN. So let's just to make that clear for the record. But when it comes to things like radiation, the magic really lies in the subatomic molecular structures of that and how that's flowing with the etheric model. And so to simply categorize things into alpha or beta or ionizing or non-ionizing, there's going to become much more detailed analysis of radiation, because what's going to happen is we're going to recognize that some radiation, certain types of radiation that we presumed to be harmful in the past, we will recognize those as being transformative. They will encourage this process of transfiguration at a higher dimensional level and then at a physical dimension. And then we will recognize that certain forms of radiation are not only very healthy, but they're very important. Things that were deemed as harmful or deadly before, and that goes along with magnetic energy technology and units. They produce forms of radiation that scientists currently, they've already poo-pooed it. Like they've already said, oh my god, it's producing harmful radiation. But what they're going to recognize is that the type of radiation that it produces is actually extremely beneficial to life and beneficial to subatomic structures and molecular structures. And they're going to see that the key factor here is the good radiation has a valuable amount of etheric energy flowing through it. It does not block etheric energy because it is templated at higher dimensions. It connects very well. Whereas harmful radiation, like say plutonium or something that's been refined, anything that's been modified or refined, creates all these etheric energy blockages. The pulse rates change, the intensity changes, and they'll see as we get into measuring that those are your defining factors. So it's really critical to recognize that certain forms of radiation, like the radiation that's going to be coming into our planet in the next few years, is highly beneficial and transformative. But they'll catch up, and maybe you could even say there's a conspiracy that they don't want, there's puppet masters at play that don't want this higher dimensional energy coming in because it means the loss of control for them. It brings power to the people. It brings your interdimensional recognition, which then once we all connect on that level, the whole system of control crumbles. And so maybe there's a lot of puppet players that want to keep electromagnetic fields so intense around the planet because it suppresses our natural abilities. But as we go through this transition, all of that will naturally fall away, and we'll move into technology that's much more beneficial to life, much more sustainable, a sustainable model of living and of reality. And the other key concept in this video that I just want to get out, because it has to do with this transfiguration, it has to do with what's happening when you have relatively neutral, rotating, pulsing magnetic fields, and how those fields affect physiology. And those rotating magnetic fields can even be subatomic. Now, remember, energy transfers from dimension to dimension, generally through a vortex. So that rotating field of energy and that relatively neutral pulsating field of energy, as it ramps up, and as our solar system moves into this high vibrational field and that energy ramps up, we are going to see a tremendous amount of physiological changes. And what I want to make it clear here is that it's the magnetic energy fields that are the causative agents of change, okay? And the effects of those changes, the effects of those rotating, counter-rotating, neutral magnetic fields, the effects of those are the chemical processes that respond in our cells. So a lot of scientists and doctors and they will say, well, no, it's the chemical. They always look at the chemical components of our physiology, when in fact the chemical components are the effects. What they've got to start doing is look at the magnetic energy pulsing components, and that's hard when you don't have the technology, but as soon as they have the technology, it will be proven so quickly that it's the pulsing magnetic fields, and even those subatomic fields, those are the causative agents. Those are what you want to treat. Those are what you want to change and use for medical purposes. And that is really part of a whole nother video. But it's this whole idea of treating symptoms or ailments or conditions in the body with chemicals is a terrible idea, because you're still working on symptomatic things and you're not getting to causal factors. When you go at the magnetic energy level and you get to the pulsing neutral magnetic fields, then you're working with causative agents that will actually trigger the correct chemical reactions that we want in the body, that will produce not only homeostasis, but they will produce a healthy, vibrant energy system in the body that flows with a much higher vibratory etheric energy, which then leads to all those cool things that we want to experience, like spontaneous healing and spontaneous regeneration and transfiguration. So that process is, yes, it is a magnetic energy process, and it is a higher dimensional process, and it will be happening to a lot of people coming in the next few years, and then that process will start to spread and spread and spread, and we will get more in touch with the natural reality, the natural vibratory existence all around us, and how to really interact with our planet on a much deeper level than we currently do. Instead of all this idea of control and suppression, all that's fading away. All that's fading away because we've got higher dimensional light coming in, and it's at a higher dimension right now. And so our energy bodies are ramping up, and you'll, as you get into meditation, feel that focus on that, and let that field get stronger and stronger and stronger around you. And a lot of it will come with focusing on your heart center, because that's really tuning into that change. And so just prepare yourselves and get ready, because that transfiguration process is underway, and it's going to get more intense over the next few years. And it's actually pretty critical to the changes that we're going to be going through. And so it's an exciting time. It's a good time. And with that, I will see you next time.